Warning, this podcast is not vegetarian or vegan friendly.
Snorkers, good-o.
Prick with a fork. 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 Prick with a fork.
Hello, you fellow sausage lover. As always, thank you for taking the time and the trouble to download this latest episode of Prick with a Fork. It's the world's only regular podcast all about sausages. We talk about eating sausages, we sometimes talk about making sausages, and generally it's all about our love for the great British banger. I'm Duncan, and I've been doing this podcast for a number of years now, so if this is the first time you've listened to this podcast, check out the archive if you like. It goes back a number of years. There are dozens of episodes where we sample sausages, I'm making sausages, there's the odd interview as well. However you're listening, particularly on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you'll find the archive on there. You can scroll back and listen to loads of episodes going back many years. If you're listening to this on YouTube, which is a relatively new addition platform-wise to what we do, you won't be able to do that. But certainly Spotify and Apple, you have all of the episodes going back several years of Prick with a Fork. What's going on in this episode? Well, once again, I joined forces with broadcaster extraordinaire, a mate of mine called Rory McAllister, and we sample some supermarket sausages. Now, we're doing two lots of sampling this time round. The one that Rory is going to sample, I'll let him explain a little bit later on where you can get them and who makes them and stuff. But the ones that I'm going to kick off with are Porky Whites, and they're a brand of sausage you can get in pretty much most of the UK supermarkets, Tesco and Sainsbury's, Morrison's, all of those. And we try and make it as accessible as possible, this podcast. So the idea is that you can try these for yourself because you go along to your local supermarket and buy some of these bangers. So they're Porky Whites, 6 award-winning signature Surrey pork sausages. They're based in Surrey, and we'll talk more about that later. But Porky Whites are going to be the bangers of choice that I sample. And then Rory, for reasons that you will hear shortly, sampling another brand, another product in terms of sausages you can get from a supermarket. There's a bit of a story as to why we're not doing the same ones this time round, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. So just a reminder, if you want to make a connection and say hello, we have an email address. It's prickfork@gmail.com. Wherever you might be listening to this podcast, we're lucky enough to have worldwide listeners, most of the listenership in the United Kingdom, but people in Spain, Australia, USA, download this podcast, which is great. So I love getting emails, prickfork@gmail.com if you want to say hello. We also have a Facebook page as well, which is quite simply Prickfork. That's on Facebook. And you can find me, Duncan Barkes, on Instagram as the Duncan Barkes. I do exist elsewhere on other platforms for various bits of other work I do, which are a lot more serious than the sausage chat. So I'd rather you just check me out on Instagram, the Duncan Barkes. The Facebook page is Prickfork, and the email address is prickfork@gmail.com if you want to get involved. Let's get cracking then with some serious sausage sampling on Prick with a Fork. And I mentioned this earlier, it's a special episode for some very specific reasons, and good reasons, equally frustrating reasons. We're doing two lots of bangers that you can get in your local supermarket. And this is the backstory. The backstory is, and we'll talk to Rozza in a second, Rory McAllister, we have a little process here where we send pictures to each other of the sausages we want to try and sample and feature on the podcast, and I said, look, this time round let's do these ones called Porky Whites, which you can get from Sainsbury's. So I sent a picture to Rozza. Rozza went on a multi-mile trek to try and get hold of them. He couldn't, so he's going to do a different brand of sausage, but I'm going to do the Porky Whites, and you can hear him in the background here. So Rory McAllister, broadcaster extraordinaire, good to talk to you again. Sorry to put quite a serious amount of mileage on your motor as part of your pilgrimage to try try and find these Porky Whites. Now, I podcast from a studio in Chichester in West Sussex. You're in Worcester. It appears to me that the Sainsbury's in Chichester is probably better stocked than how many Sainsbury's have you got in the Worcester area?
2.
Yeah.
The nearest other one would be Kidderminster, but that would be a bit of a trek just to find a pack of sausages.
Yeah.
But yes, Duncan, I did have a good hunt, and the good thing is I've had the Porky Whites before, because even when you sent those through, I went, those are the Surrey ones, right?
Yeah.
So I went into Sainsbury's yesterday, and there it was, looking forlorn. The cardboard sleeve was there, but no Porky Whites.
Oh dear.
So by the time, to send you photographic evidence, by the time I'd opened up the fridge, the guy in the Argos concession, I think, really thought I was off my head. He was like, why is this guy opening the fridge and taking photos of an empty cardboard
Security,
sleeve?
we got that weirdo back again. He's taking pictures of the equipment in the fridge.
Yeah. And he'll be back 24 hours later. So then I tried the big Tesco's, no luck there. I drove over the river to the other Tesco's. Now, other Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
Anyone who lives in Worcester will know this is serious mileage I'm doing here. Yeah. I kind of thought I could try Waitrose. I then tried the Sainsbury's again today. I knew that luck wasn't going to be on my side. No. The Porky Whites weren't there, so I bought another brand. So, yes, here we are now with a double bill, like the old days of the cinema, of the double bills, a double bill sausage taste fest.
Marvellous. Now, are you going to tell people what you've purchased, or should we keep them? Should we do a little bit of a tease to keep them listening for longer and reveal a little bit later on what you're going to be testing? Or shall we reveal all? What do you reckon is the best thing to do here?
Well, normally you do the description, so you could put yours in the description and then say another brand, and we can leave that for now, and then we'll come on, because my sausages are going to be better than your sausages.
Yeah, well, you might be right, actually, because I cooked these earlier, and I'm not... I won't be putting out the bunting is probably where I'm at the moment. So I'll just go through what I've purchased. So what we're trying to do with Prick with a Fork, as often as possible, though sometimes we deviate, is do sausages that you can buy in a supermarket. Doesn't matter if it's Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, Asda, so it's accessible as possible. It needs to be as accessible as possible so you can try the stuff that we've been sampling. However, occasionally we do go off-piste a little bit. But on this particular episode, these ones, Porky Whites, you can get from most major supermarkets. The ones we're sampling, I'm sampling 6 award-winning signature Surrey pork sausages. It's a family firm, Rozza, been going since 1935. It's got a lovely website. What I like about the packaging, and we'll go through the ingredients in a second, is they have their cooking guidelines on there, including how to use these sausages in an air fryer. Not seen that for a while. And also oven baking.
And more are doing that.
Yeah, and oven baking, which of course you and I know is the best way to cook your banger. These are 6 sausages for £3.50 from Sainsbury's, so not bad value really. And if you look at it, it's not a kind of it's a very simple, I would argue, run-of-the-mill sausage. So when you look at the blurb on the packaging, they talk about you can use these sausages in your breakfast, for lunch, or even dinner. So they're not saying, this is a perfect breakfast banger. It's a multi-purpose banger. There you are. And you can do various things with it. They use pork shoulder and pork belly as their cuts of pork, which is nice. And they have a pork rating of 82%, which is all right, not too bad. What is really interesting in the ingredients here, they've used honey, which I haven't seen in a sausage before. So they've got honey in there. Obviously, it's a supermarket banger, so there's quite a lot of preservatives and chemicals in there. Your bicarbonates are in there. They use lemon juice in here as well, which is quite a good taste enhancer, but also preservative as well. What else can I tell you? You've got, now where did I see it listed in terms of some of the spices? White pepper, black pepper, and ginger, and also sage and thyme. So those are the main elements of flavour in these Porky Whites 6 award-winning signature Surrey pork sausages. It's a family firm, as I mentioned, from Surrey, in the home counties, and I was looking them up earlier. Their first butcher's shop was in Ewell in Surrey, which is, well, I don't think Ewell is really famed for much. It's just up the road from, what's that place? Is it Chessington World of Adventure? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it
so,
is.
or is it Thorpe Park? No, Thorpe Park's the other side. Yeah, so it's Chessington.
That's right.
So that's kind of, so Ewell, which is Ewell. I only know this because when I used to do radio phone-ins, I used to have a regular caller called Hillary from Ewell, and she'd go, "Hello, Duncan, it's Hillary from Ewell." And it took me a while to actually realise that last bit was a place. Ewell. I just thought she was, a little bit delirious.
It's not
Right.
just hello.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to sample these. I cooked them in the oven. And on the back here, they give directions for oven bake. They say 30 minutes, preheated oven at 180, which is about right, actually, I would say. These were in the oven a little bit longer because I got carried away doing some work about steel. For reasons I won't bore you with, I had to learn about steel in the United Kingdom. And I thought, all my bangers will be cooked by now. So I went down the stairs very quickly. So they are, they're not burnt, but they are relatively well done. Oh, by the way, the skins here, and this is where you need to groan, they're collagen casings. So they're not natural hog casings. Yeah, they're collagen.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Do you know what? The first time I had those was at least a good 15 years ago when I lived in Berkshire, and it was they were more local at the time. They've expanded and gone bigger.
They have.
And even at the time, I think I was getting them in the local Tesco's, and I always used to think they were all right. Now the ingredients may have changed every year; they may not have, but they became my sort of staple breakfast sausage. Actually, I used to quite like them. Pretty good on the barbecue as well. But interested to see your thoughts on this. Just as you were describing everything there, Duncan, I was thinking, I hope he's going to mention the skins.
Yeah, collagen. So they're not natural. I mean, you make collagen from basically bits of animal, but I prefer, and I think you prefer as well, Rozza, natural hog casings, which is basically the stomach lining of a pig.
Every day.
So there you are.
Every day.
Oh, so I put these into the baking tray, and when I took them out of the pack, they were good, solid, they were chunky. That's always a good sign, a good chunky banger. No wilting going on. They weren't too watery, glistening, looking a bit sorry, a bit sweaty. None of that. Good solid banger. 6 of those in the roasting tin. Right, so you can probably hear I've got my plate and a couple of bangers there. And I'm just going to have a little sample. The skins are quite, I'm not going to say collagenary, because that's not even a word, but they crisp up quite well. And you can probably hear a bit of crunching going on with the skin.
Can you taste the honey?
I've got no sweetness, but I have got a big hit of sage. The sage is really coming through.
Lovely.
Which is interesting, because it's not branded as a pork and sage banger, but, there is some research out there that I think a lot of people, if they had to choose a herb to go with pork in their sausage, most people tend to lean towards something like sage. Because it's very traditional, isn't it? So.
And also, like a few podcasts ago with those Tesco's one, there's that word signature again, which has arrived now. And I wonder if signature somewhere actually alludes to like that. Does that actually mean a pork and sage recipe? I don't know. I'm guessing it's just.
I think it just means marketing speak for posh, isn't it?
Well, it's better than artisan, isn't it? That's one of your favourites, isn't it, Duncan?
I bloody hate the word artisan. Right.
Yeah.
These are all right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. I've got a little bit of ginger as well. So I've got the sage. I've got the ginger.
But the skins, you said they're crunchy, but
yeah, they're not. I mean, there's colour to these bangers. You can probably see, but they're not burnt, so they shouldn't be as crunchy, the skins, as I think they are.
What about the consistency? Are they quite coarse or smooth?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I take this way too seriously, don't I?
Well, I'm looking now. They're meaty, but they're quite smooth. There's not coarseness there. It's all right.
Yeah, passable.
But I've had better.
You've had better.
That's my assessment so far. So I'm not going to give a score out of 10 just yet. But these Porky Whites, available in all major supermarkets. They've got various different kinds of product. These are the award-winning signature Surrey pork sausages. the award, if you're interested. They were winner of UK Sausage Week. It doesn't say what year. UK Supreme Sausage Champion. So that's their gong, if you like. That's the winning bit. They're nice, but they're not blowing my brain apart with, oh my God, this is the best banger I've had. What have you got there?
Well, I have got the Black Farmers.
Oh.
It's interesting you mentioned Sausage Week. Surely we're going to get an invite to that one day.
No. I tried a couple of years ago. And they said they weren't aware of any podcasts about sausages.
Right, well, they're soon going to be. I've got the Black Farmer 6 Premium Pork Sausages. Now, what I love about Mrs. M, the way she always brings these on a plate, the reason why I love that. Did that come through, by the way? That video.
Tell me why you like how she brings them to you on a plate.
What I love about Mrs. M, the way she brings me on a plate, is that I'm able then to see if there's any lard content that's dripped out onto these white plates, you see.
Yeah.
See, whereas sometimes I tend to dab mine on paper towels to take any residue lard. But first of all, these don't have any lard. Now, you may have seen the Black Farmer range.
I have.
And it is just that. It is a farmer who is black, and Wilfred Emmanuel Jones is his name.
Right.
And there's a quote from him on the back. He looks like a very, very happy chap indeed, standing there in his field with his fedora. These sausages are great tasting, premium quality and gluten-free. I use only British pork, which is mixed with my special recipe seasoning, making them truly memorable. Enjoy the experience, says Wilfred Emmanuel Jones, who is the Black Farmer.
He is the Black Farmer. So what I'm concluding here, and I'm glad I suppose by accident, that you're doing another supermarket brand. Whenever I go into supermarkets, I always go down the sausage aisle just to see what they actually sell, apart from their own, so if it's a Sainsbury's, obviously they do their own, they've got their taste of difference. If it's a Tesco, they've got their own and all that kind of stuff. But I'm always on the lookout to see what else they do. And I think it's fair to say most supermarkets that I've seen do the Black Farmer. I've seen Black Farmer in Tesco's, I've seen them in Sainsbury's. Porky Whites, you can get in most supermarkets, the ones I've just been trying. Of course, the other two big brands are Heck and Jolly Hog. Jolly Hog. And I think those are probably the top 4, aren't they, in terms of not supermarket brands, but individual brands that are available in supermarkets.
Yes, and I think that's why we're trying to hone in on these ones. And I'm particularly interested now to have a look at the ingredients, because we have 90% pork here, Duncan, this end.
90%, what was I? 82. Okay.
So, yes, Chichester, can you hear us at 82%? Worcester here, we're on 90%. Yeah. We've got water, potato starch, salt, dextrose, spices, being pepper, and nutmeg.
Yes.
Nutmeg was the one that we really picked out in those Italian ones. There is some sage and parsley in these sausages. And, Duncan, hit the fanfare button. We have natural casings.
Yeah, you see that? I just think these Black Farmers are going to do the job for you on this. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, as you've always said about supermarket sausage, it's unavoidable. We have a bunch of preservatives in there, all sorts of other things, and citric acid. So hopefully that won't have too much of a kickback. Mrs. M has provided me with cutlery.
Excellent.
I don't know why.
I've got to say, Rory, she is a keeper, isn't she? Your Mrs. M. I mean, you are two things. One, she's a keeper, and two, you are punching well above your weight, mate.
Lots of people have said that over the 10 years, 11 years that we've been together. Again, might as well reveal who she is. She is Lizzie Crowe from the world of broadcasting. Yep. So those of you that have listened to Heart over the years, those of you that listen to Premier Christian Radio in London or some of the other BBC networks, you'll have heard Lizzie. You'll certainly have heard Lizzie on one of your radio adverts and coming out of your television. So you can go to her website, Lizzie Crowe, spelt like the bird. And that's LIZZIE.co.uk, and that is Mrs. M.
Yeah.
And no, we didn't meet in radio. We just met randomly. So I'm just going to finish pouring my Henry Weston's 1880, which is their
your cider.
celebratory side of it they've released to celebrate 145 years of them. Anyway, back to the Black Farmers.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you in a position to try? I'm finishing off my second Porky White here. Forgive me for being rude, but I am quite hungry. So go on, bite into your... It's going to sound well dodgy. Bite into your Black Farmer, Rozza.
I will. Right, here we go. The crunchy bit that sometimes people don't like. Now, sorry, just to say, these have been cooked using the Duncan Barkes method. None of your air fryers around here. Crunchy.
I'm going to ask you a question before you tell us what that tastes like. Have you got an air fryer?
No.
No, we can't decide whether or not to get one.
We don't have the space.
I've said to
got a galley kitchen.
I've said to the current Mrs. Barkes, if we get an air fryer, something else has got to go, right?
The current Mrs. Like there's going to be another one next week.
You never know.
The current. Well, at least as a celebrant, she'd be able to do your next wedding.
Yeah. No,
can you imagine?
I wouldn't be doing that again. I only ask about the air fryer because if you look on the back of the packaging here, they say you could do these Porky Whites in 15 minutes in an air fryer, half an hour in the oven. That's a convenience, isn't it? The air fryer, I think. Yeah. Anyway,
no, they are energy savers as well, for sure. This is very nice.
Hang on a sec. There's hardly anything left.
That's because Hugo, my little boy, had the. I've got another one. Don't worry.
All right. Yeah. What do you make of them then?
Now,
your Black Farmer.
These are definitely not for your bangers and mash.
Oh.
And the reason why I say that is because it's the pepper, I think. They just taste more like a breakfast sausage.
Yeah.
And they also taste like something that would be good as a hot dog sausage at a barbecue.
Yeah.
And the reason why I wouldn't pick these, as I said, for the sausage and mash, is that I like to season my own sausage and mash. And depending on how you make your mashed potato, whether or not you chuck salt and pepper into the mash, some people do.
Yeah.
But the pepper, it's lovely, but it's quite overpowering.
Oh.
So therefore, I think it would alter the taste of the sausage and mash. Add in the gravy. I think what would happen is, and I think the reason why I've immediately sprung to this conclusion, is because all of a sudden your bangers and mash would just taste too salt and peppery.
Yeah.
If
I can see that. Yeah.
You wouldn't get the creamy consistency and the smoothness of your mash. So lovely sausage, a good crunch on this one.
Yeah.
Crunch. Now, also, filling wise,
yeah.
These are a bit more coarse, but you know when, like a bad mince pie, you bite into the pastry and the insides don't. There's a bit too much air.
Yeah. It's so disappointing. Always at the top.
Yeah.
You bite in, don't you? So your two front teeth go down.
That's
and
right.
They go through the pasting lid, the pastry lid, and what you want is immediately your gums and your tongue to be hit with this lovely mixture of mince pie, but you're instantly disappointed because it's bloody air and the pie is about half an inch lying at the bottom. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So that's where we've got a bit of airspace in here. But you know, Wilfred has promised us an experience.
Has he delivered?
It's a decent sausage, Duncan.
Yeah.
I've got to say, actually, I think. Is it as nice as those Italian ones that you picked out on the last episode? I don't think so.
So the Italian ones were the which ones? They were the Taste of Difference ones from Sainsbury's.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this. So, just quickly, the pepper's coming through.
Yeah.
The sage, not so much. A little bit of nutmeg, maybe. Very crunchy casing. A nice, good coarse filling. 90% pork, which means that it's 10% other stuff. So we're happy with that. I'd give this an 8 out of 10. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, so I settled on a 7 out of 10 for the Porky Whites. Perfectly adequate.
That's generous of you, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because I know you and I know what you like, and your description, I thought these are coming in at a 6 at best.
No, there's nothing wrong with them, but they're not going the extra mile. So I think a 7 out of 10 is fair. I think that's fair. I think... I don't know, I'm going to have to try some of their other varieties, because there are some other ones they do, just to get a better feel for their sausage making ability and how their various products taste. But they are in the market alongside your Hex and your Jolly Hog and your Black Farmer, as we mentioned. It's a competitive market. And if I'm paying £3.50 for 6 sausages that are branding themselves signature and going for the slightly premium market, I was expecting something just a tad better, I think. But that said, it's a British company, it's a family company, and I won't have anything said against them, because we need to be supporting those kind of businesses, I think. So,
indeed, it's good packaging as well, I think, on those Porky Whites. You're right, they do really scream premium, because they've nowadays gone for like a black and silver and white.
Well, yeah, is it silver or is it gold? I'm looking. Yeah,
is it gold?
Yeah, it's goldish. Yeah, but yeah, it does ooze. It's kind of like it's a bit of a slightly Art Deco vibe. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of black and
stretched lettering.
Yeah, and you can have a look. I'm showing you on the camera. Can you see that? Maybe not.
Yeah, there they are.
Lettering, it's a little bit. Here you are. If Hercule Poirot was going to be a sausage, right?
Oh, Poirot, honestly, I used to hear that theme and I was like, right, that's it. My weekend's over. I've got to go to bed. As he shuffled off underneath the lamplight. And then he does that really sort of like arrogant turn round. He turns round and then looks back again. It's like, oh, bugger off, Suchet. My weekend's over.
Did you know how he mastered the walk, the actor? David Suchet.
I mean, decent. I mean, very good actor, but just annoying. But
do you know how he mastered that very unique walk of Poirot? It's a true story.
No, go on, hit me.
So when he got the part, and he tried to inhabit himself into the kind of character he thought Poirot should be and how he should portray him on screen, he kind of decided that he couldn't be walking. He wasn't the kind of man who would stride anywhere. He would kind of shuffle in a slightly camp way. And this is a true story. The actor, what he did is he got a 50p piece, and this is true, and he put the 50p piece in between
not up his arse.
Well, not up his arse, but in between his bum cheeks. And he learned to walk without dropping the 50p piece. And that's how his interpretation of Poirot was created in terms of how he walks.
Oh my! Well, I wish I'd known that at the time. At least I could have screened some profanity at the screen on a Sunday evening.
But we're going off on a tad of a tangent. As much as it's nice to talk about David Suchet, I think, though, going back to the packaging of Porky Whites, it is a bit Art Deco. It is a bit 1920s, 1930s in its kind of the style of the characters it uses and its colouring of black and gold. So there you are. Right, so 7 out of 10 for me, and your Black Farmer, you're giving 8 out of 10.
Yes, excuse me for coughing, Duncan.
That's right.
Yes, 8 out of 10. Nice and solid. Black Farmer, Duncan's right. You can get them across most supermarkets. You may have even seen them before. You may have even had them before. Interesting backstory as well. I think decent ingredients. They cost me £3.50 in Sainsbury's. That wasn't one of these Nectar card offer things.
So was that for 6?
That was for 6.
That's it. Well, same price as the Porky Whites then. So that's what they're competing against. Out of the two, it sounds like you'd go for Black Farmer. Is there another supermarket sausage that you've seen, apart from the ones that we fell in love with, the Sainsbury's Taste of Difference, Sicilian inspired? That was their name, wasn't it? Would you buy these again?
Yes, I would.
You would?
Yes.
Nothing else will trump it? Or is it?
Apart maybe then, if especially in Sainsbury's, if your Italian Taste the Difference ones were there, they're for the same sort of money. I might be tempted to go for them instead. But
that's not a breakfast sausage, is it? It's not a breakfast sausage.
That's true. I think for my everyday, as in this is going to satisfy. It's at least going to give me some sort of satisfaction. Yeah. I just wish they were just packed a bit more. I think if they were packed just that a little bit more, not so much air, then I think that we could be maybe sailing more towards a 9. Now, I know I gave those Italian ones 10 for a supermarket sausage, but But, interesting. Very competitive market. I think what I'd love to do one time is to line all these up next to each other, including Heck and Jolly Hog and so many others. There's that Welsh brand as well that you can get sometimes that has the Welsh dragon on it. The name escapes me, but as soon as I think of it, I'll message you it. And if I can pick those up somewhere, then I'll try and do that. Co-op sausages perhaps could be another one on the list, because Co-op is another supermarket.
Two things there. First off, you've come up with a brilliant idea on a future episode, though not the next one. Let's do it. So we do a Heck, a Jolly Hog, a Black Farmer, and a Porky White all together.
All in one go.
They're all going for the same market, aren't they, by my reckoning? So we can do that. But on the next episode, let's do a co-op sausage. I think you've... Because everyone's got a co-op. In my part... I mean, here in Chichester, there's 3 within a 4-mile radius. They're four within a 4-mile radius. They're bloody everywhere, the co-ops.
Yeah, they are, and they're even in Scotland. They're in Wales as well. It's not like a shop or one of these chains that's locked to one area. Yeah. And from memory, I think they do a fairly decent selection. I mean, yes, the Jolly Hogs and all the rest of them are in there, and your Black Farmers. But I think we could go for one of the co-op ones, because from memory, Duncan, I think the last time you did a co-op sausage, it was a pig in blanket, and it was one of the Christmas ones.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. I think it was in the first, might have even been about the first Christmas of COVID, actually. But yeah, it's definitely worth a co-op visit. As you say, they're everywhere, so accessible to the listeners.
Brilliant. We'll do that on the next episode. Rozza, as always, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Duncan. See you next time. Bye.
Prick with a fork.
So, a double dose of sampling on this episode. As you heard, the Porky Whites sausages. They're Surrey 6 pork sausages, signature pork sausages, that's what they call them, and also the Jolly Farmer ones as well. Thank you, as always, to Rozza, Rory McAllister, for joining me with some sausage sampling. You can follow him on Instagram. Just search for Rory McAllister. He's the broadcaster. There's a couple of Rory McAllisters knocking around on Instagram, but you want the sports commentator and broadcaster, because that's our Rozza, who joins us now on Prick with a Fork. Thank you as always for listening. If you do sample either of those sausages, Porky Whites or Black Farmer yourself, would love to hear your thoughts. The email address is prickfork@gmail.com. You can help us out as well as getting in contact just to say hello. If you listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, do us a favour, give us a nice review, because that means it gets recommended to other people. So you can give us 5 stars. That would be really helpful as well. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's nothing spooky. It just means whenever there's a new update, you get automatically informed of the latest episode. And on our YouTube channel that is up and running, because some people like to listen to stuff on YouTube. I know it's weird, because YouTube is predominantly supposed to be pictures. If you subscribe to us on YouTube, that'll be great. Again, if you do that and you have a YouTube account, it means whenever we create something new for you to listen to, you're automatically notified. And if you want to get involved in the Facebook page, make a post, say hello. Prick Fork is where you find us on Facebook, and me, Duncan Barkes, I exist on Instagram. As always, thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. Don't be shy. Say hello. And until next time, happy sausage eating.
Oh, we've got bangers and snorkers. I'm so in love with those porkers. Sizzle or fry, that's what I like. As long as it's real, you'll never butcher my pride. I love my blood sausage, whether black or white. I'm like a hot dog in mustard. Since a new way of stuffing I've discovered. Oh, bratwurst is fine, bratwurst delights. Cumberland rocks with an onion side. Salami, boudin, Savoy, I'm a pig hog high. Oh yeah, la la la. As long as it's in a skin, it's fine. Ooh, 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 ooh. La la la, yeah yeah yeah. Ooh, put it on the barbecue.